be subsumed, that would all be encompassed under that heading called Yifas Toar. What's Yifas Mara? That's the Bechina of the Chen, and that's the spiritual beauty. The Chen, that exquisite beauty in a ruchniistic sense, that would be highlighted by the continuing factor of Vifei Mara. Mela, we have an Archaim HaKodesh explaining to us that somewhat kefailistic aloshan, that repetitive terminology, fastori fasmara. Either fastori fasmara would be highlighting kol prat to prat and then kol klal to klal, or it would be encompassing everything mentioned above, and then we would have yifamara would be the bechinas hachein, that beauty, that's lamaila, that ruchniistic beauty. And that's Yifastor Vyasmara. Where do we find this Bechina of the Chen? Well, let's go to Esther and Yoni Dioma. We have Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha. In Maseches Megillah, Daf Yud Gimel Amud Aleph, the Gemara says that according to the opinion of Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha, Esther Yirak Rokes Halva, she was green. What exactly does that mean? She was green. She had a green complexion. Writes the Vilna Gaon in his Perush Agro Megillah Esther. Vana doesn't mean literally that she was green. We don't have green creatures. We don't have blue creatures in this world, but it means that she was so sickened by the thought of having to be married to Achashverosh HaRasha that if you wed such a nefarious individual. She was so disgusted and repulsed by it. And Mela, what happened? She took on a green complexion because she was throwing up all the time, writes the Vilna Gaon. She got so physically sick because she had to be married to Achashverosh HaRasha. That's Esther Yirak Rokes. How could it be that Achashverosh decides to marry this woman? You could say she was beautiful beforehand, but if she had a green complexion, even afterwards, that he would stay married to her, must be no say Schein Be'ene Koreh was the Bechin of the Chen, and that's the latter idea presented by the Archaim HaKodesh. It was that Bechin of the Chen. To borrow the Lashon in the Gemara, Chut Shel Chesed Moshachla, a thread of loving kindness was strewn around her. That's the Bechin of the Chen. That's a word in our vernacular in the English language. We can't really highlight any one word to encapsulate what Chen is. There is grace, charm, a beauty, a ruchniistic beauty. There is no word because Chen is something that's really shaykh to Lashon HaKodesh. That's Bechinas HaChain, and that's Chut Shel Chesed Moshach Aleh. Where else do we find this aspect of Chut Shel Chesed Moshach Aleh? Every time somebody gets married, we go to the famous brisa in Ksuvas, the bottom of Tezayin Amud Beis, Tanur Rabbanan. The Gemara cites a brisa, well known. Again, the songs made it famous. Kala Nemach Hasuda. First, we start with Beis Shammai because we know that Beis Hillel, Machmas, the Ranivas, they're always mocked them. They always allow Beis Shammai to preface their own remarks. It's the Gemara in Eruvin Daf Yud Gimel Amud Beis. So here we have Beis Shammai Omrim Kala Kamoshehi. You say it as it is. Beis Hillel says no. Kala Nemach Hasuda. You issue a blanket statement. Every Kala is what? Is no, is beautiful, and chasuda. What exactly does chasuda mean? She's not chasidish, she's not a chosid. What's chasuda? Rashi, the top Rashi, Ksuvas Yud Zayin Amud Aleph, takes us to this identical terminology of Megillah Yud Gimel Amud Aleph, Chut Shel Chesed Moshach Aleha. That's the idea. Esther could be Yirak Rokes. How could she be Nosei Schein Be'ene Koreh? How could Achashverosh be interested, or keeping in mind that we have a three-way machlokes in the Alkut Shimoni and Esther, and machlokes also in the Medrash and Reishis Rabbah. And Parshas Lech Lecha, we find that Esther was either 70, 75, or 80 years old. The Targum espouses the opinion. The sheet of the Rabbanan, that's what most sheetas hold, that she was 75 years old. Can you imagine? 75 years old, and she was beautiful. She was Nosei Schein Be'ene Koreh. That's the Gemara Megillah Daf Yud Gimel Amud Aleph. Esther Yirak Rokes Halva. So what impressed in Achashverosh? She's Nosei Schein Be'ene Koreh. That's Chut Shel Chesed Moshach Aleh, and that's the identical terminology cited by Rashi, the Heilige Rashi in Ksuvas Daf Yud Zayin Amud Aleph. What does it mean? Kala Nemach Hasuda. Aliba Beis Hillel, according to the opinion that we champion, that we espouse, that the Beis Hillel, we paskin Kala Nemach Hasuda. You say about every Kala that she is beautiful. She is Chut Shel Chesed Moshach Aleh. The obvious question is, what if there's nothing to write home about? What if the Kala is Taka not to know it, and she's not Chasuda? Taisus asked the Kasha. What if there's nothing to say about this Kala? Taisus presents two different answers. Number one is Shtok, keep quiet. That's the easiest way out. Someone says, oh, what's the story with the Kala? Just keep quiet. Taisus says, Inami, after all, you keep quiet, Shtika Kelda doesn't send the right message. Elazar Taisus Vaita, you know what? Every Kala has something you could go out and praise. You could say, Einayim Yofas Yeshla, Yadayim Yofas Yeshla. Every Kala has something about which you could extol. You could say she has nice hands, she has nice eyelashes, she has nice eyes. Ella, so what does Beis Hillel hold? If you're going to tell me Kala Chasuda, why not go with Beis Shammai, Midvar Sheket Tirchok? You can't go in a lie. Granted, Beis Hillel says, somebody purchases something in the shuk, of course you go in and praise it. But the you have to keep a distance from sheker. So what do you do? Lamaisa writes Beis Hillel that if you're going to highlight simply the yadayim yafos yeshlo or einayim yafos yeshlo, then a person is going to draw the obvious inference. Oh, everything else about her is not too impressive. Person calls up for a shidduch and says, I want to know, is she a fine-looking girl to go on a date? So what's the shachar going to say? Well, she has very nice fingernails. Well, her eyes, that's going to leave a mashros. You're going to draw the obvious inference. It must be the mashros says everything else is not too impressive. Therefore, Beis Hillel says, you know what? The easy way out is kalan or chasuda. Just issue a statement. Frek the marshal. The marshal asked a question. I don't understand. In the end of the day, midrash keturchak. You're not let a lie. Explains the marshal. But beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. Beauty is subjective and not objective. And since the Gemara tells us in the beginning of Ishma Kaddish, the second parak of Kedusha Nafam Aleph, then also the Kaddish Isha Chireni, and I'll let get married until you actually see her. Shnemar, the pasuk says in Kedoshim Parak Yotes pasuk Yud Ches V'Hatalecha Kamaycha Shem Tim Tivtza Badavar Magun V'Tizgana Maila. Maila, you have to go in and see her. After all, we know the famous story of Yankel, and he saw his friend Chasida Shechaver, who was walking in the streets of Meah Sharim, and he passed his wife, and then 3 blocks later he passed a husband. He says, Yankel, I want you to know. He says, I saw your wife 3 blocks up. He says, yeah, I know. We're taking a walk together. At the end of the day, they still, no matter how much, even if it's going to be in the living room for 20 minutes, but you have to see her. If you saw her and you still agreed to marry her, then Malkorcha, subjectively speaking, she was beautiful in the eyes of the chassan. So we're not issuing an objective, basic statement that says we're telling the world that she is Nava Chasuda. We're only here to be margish that in the eyes of the chassan, since also the Kadishisha Chirena, it must be that he saw her and she was pleasing to his eyes, because you can't go in and get married until you actually see the kalo. Even according to Beis Hillel, we can get out of that shaila of Beis Shammai's midvar sheker tuchak, because sof kol sof it's subjective and it's not objective. But that's the idea of kalan of a chasuda. There's a bechin of chen, there's a bechin of chutzah chesed, amosha chalea. That's Rabbi Shua Makarcha. That's Megillah Daf Yud Gimel Amud Aleph. In fact, the very lashon of chasen, Rabbi Yitzchak Zilberstein in a Sefer Tuvcha Yabiu and Parshas Balak is bothered. What's the terminology chasen and kala? So when you're in doubt, where do you go? If you're Rabbi Yitzchak Zilberstein and you want to know the pshat in the word chasen, the pshat in the word kala, where do you go? You go to your Chashva brother-in-law, Chaim Kanevsky. Or you go to his But he went to Chaim Kanevsky, the brother-in-law, and he asked Chaim, he says, what pshat in the lashon chasen, what pshat in the lashon kala? Chaim said, chasen is miloshen chen. The Heiner, just like his spoil, it is so molly, the God is so saturated, inundated with chen, he's bechinas chosan, he's molly, the God is chen. And what's the lashon kala? Avas kalulo sayach, she's all encompassing of ava. So writes of Yitzchak Zilberstein, isn't it fascinating? Bride and groom. What's the lashon hamikra? It's always bal v'ishto, it's always ish v'ishto, ish v'isha. That's the lashon of Tanakh. But what? We always say a bride and a groom, they're called chasan and kala, but not in Tanakh. In Tanakh, they're not branded those choice appellations of chasan and kala. Those titles are reserved for a son-in-law and a daughter-in-law. Ask Rabbi Yitzchak Zilberstein, why is that? But he says, now that my brother-in-law Chaim Kanevsky told me that chasan is miloshen chen, and he's so molly v'godish chen, to tell me that this chen and kala, avas, kululosayach, lechtei chacharam, the all-encompassing love, to tell me that there's love and there's chen between a bride and a groom. Well, why do you think they got married? If under there's love, there's ava and there's chen. That's not a chiddush. The Rabu Sanakar, where do we need the chiddush? The chiddush is needed a dafka by a son-in-law. All the in-laws jokes. We need to know that the son-in-law will be malachain. The in-laws, a chosen in the pages of the Torah is a son-in-law. Chosen, a kala. Yehuda and kala so tamar. A kala is a daughter-in-law. That's what we need the chiddush. That the daughter-in-law should produce the avos kaludosayich in the eyes of the in-laws, and the chosen should produce the chen in the eyes of him, the in-laws. That's what Yitzchak Zilberstein Tzimcha Yaviu, Parshas Balak. That's why we refer to bride and groom as a chosen kala, not because we're describing the ava and the chen that resides between the two of them, but rather we want to be magdish, we want to drive the point home and emphasize that they should be mala that same chen and ava in the eyes of the respective in-laws. That's the lashon chosen, and that's the lashon kala. But that's kala and chasuda. That's the bechin of the chen. You can have Esther, Yirakok yourself. In the end of the day, she was mala chen ve'ene karo. She was no seis chen ve'ene karo. And that takes us continuing in Yoni Dioma to a fascinating Ibn Ezra. Ibn Ezra is writing in his Perush Megillah Esther, Perek Daled Posuk Tezayit. Asks the Ibn Ezra. Esther now was in a predicament the life of Klal Yisrael. The Metzias of Klal Yisrael is now on the line. She has to go in, she has to present a request, she has to do her utmost to go in and be Matzil Klal Yisrael. So it's time to go in to the Cheder L'Fnai V'L'Fnim. She says to Klal Yisrael, Tzum Alai, I want everyone to fast 3 consecutive days. Shlosha Yomim Mitzufim, 3 consecutive days, no eating and no drinking. And what does she say? And I'm going to fast together with you. Asks the Ibn Ezra the obvious question, Esther, what is a woman going to look like after she fasts, she abstains from food and drink for 24 hours? What's a woman going to look like after 2 consecutive days of fasting? And Kavachomer, 3 consecutive days of fasting, what in the world is she doing? If the whole point is you have to look your best, Esther, how are you going to look after 3 days of consecutive fasting? Ask Ibn Ezra, what in the world is she doing? You're putting your life on the line, have everybody else fast on your behalf, but that you should be included and counted amongst them. It's a pliyat suma. Asks Rav Yitzchak Mirsky, he compounds the question. Right, so Yitzchak Mirsky in the Sefer Hagilni Halacha and Chelik Aleph, page 274, he says, L'chayra, what makes the Ibn Ezra more of a starker kasha is she only got in there because of her beauty. Achashverosh is interested in what? Paras. He was all about Znus, Kedushim, Emtesim, and Beis Asar Kavan, Znus Yardalolam. Paras took 9/10 of them. The Gemara in Megillah Yad Aleph and Aleph, they're all about Shtufi Zima, and he's interested in her looks and her outer appearance. Asks the Hagilni Halacha, Esther, if you want Achashverosh to listen to you, so look your best, the same way that you soak in the perfumes for 6 months or 12 months. Make sure to put on all the cosmetics, put on the makeup, look your best, and only then go into Achashverosh. What in the world is she doing? Ella, let's go back to the Ibn Ezra, Myridiki Yesod. Esther wants Klal Yisrael to know, you think I'm in here because of my beauty? That's not the case. Even if you don't hold like Rabbi Shua Makarcha, the Gemara Megillah says, Vavam and Aleph, Tan Rabbanu, the Gemara cites a Braisa, Arba Noshim Yafyofios Hoyi Bayolam, writes the Marsha, Kabbalah Haisa Biyodam, the Noshim Elu, and Nichbal Hayofi Shalahem. They had a Kabbalah, they had a Messiah. These 4 women had doubled over. That's the Kfeila Saloshim, the built-in double terminology. Arba Noshim Yafyofios, Yofus plus. And who are these 4 women? Sarah, Rachov, Abigail, and Esther. The Gemara continues, according to Rabbi Shua Karcha, that she was Yirak Rokas, saying, Chanami, who the Rabbi Shua Karcha zok the Gemara Viter, Mapik Esther, Maya Vashti. Takes Esther out, and he puts Vashti on the list. Mamish, that itself needs a whole shir b'fnei atzmo. Vashti makes it onto the list of the 4 most beautiful women that ever lived. That itself was a pliyat suma. Hakaponim, these are the 4 most beautiful women that ever lived. It's a pella. Esther's on the list, but Esther writes, the Ibn Ezra wants the world to know. Shushan, Yidden and Shushan and beyond. Do you think I'm going to succeed because of my beauty? No way. If I'm going to be successful, it's Ach Barak because of one thing, and that's Siyata D'Shmaya. And how am I going to get Siyata D'Shmaya? By fasting with my tinus, by abstaining from food and drink and davening and doing tshuva. That's what's going to do it. You think my ticket to salvation is going to be the external beauty? Haraya, I'm going to go out and fast along with you. And how am I going to look after 1 day of fasting, 2 days of fasting, 3 days of full abstention from food and drink? How am I going to look after 3 consecutive days? And Afal Pekin, I'm going to go l'fnai v'l'fnim. Belira shus of the melech, I'm going to go into the chotzer panima. And the Eibusher is going to be matzliach ba'adi ba'avuri. You're going to see what the word they can see out the Shmaya. It has nothing to do with my looks. It's all because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is driving the entire scene here. He's orchestrating world events from behind the world stage. That's what you're going to witness, and we can only have the point driven home. When Esther says, I'm bedavka going to downplay my looks, how am I going to appear after 3 consecutive days of fasting? And what happens? And we, of course, know the end of the story. It's all because of Siyata D'Shmaya, all because of HaMelech, the Melech Malchei, HaMelech HaKadosh Baruch Hu behind the scenes. But that was Esther, that was the Chutcha Ches and Moshe Chaleh. Either her beauty, according to the Brisa, the way that we have it, that Esther is on the list of the 4 most beautiful women that ever lived, according to Shuma Korcha, no says Chen Me'akadosh, she had this exquisite Chen. And all the worldly chen, again, nothing in our indigenous tongue that could fully and aptly describe what this bechin of chen is. In fact, to borrow a Maral, we know the Maral writes in a number of places. He writes in his Chodesh Megillah Esther, Parak Aleph, Pasuk Yud, talks about in Geburas Hashem, and Parak Mem, he talks about in Netzach Yisrael, many places. The Maral says the Gvilna Gaon as well. The idea that 7, of course, is the number in Teva. 7 days in a week, 7 years in a Shemitah cycle, 7 Shemitah cycles in a Yovel cycle, 7 colors in the rainbow, 7 notes in the musical scale. Every person sees 7 million shades of color. 7 seas, the 7 skies. Chagiga Yud Beis, Amud Beis, the 7 continents. 7 is the dominant dominating motif, the number that controls the world. Going back to 1963, the Psychological Review, famous article by George A. Miller, pages 61 to 97, called The Magical Number 7, give or take 2, all about the dominating number in this world of Teva is 7. 70% of the world is water. On a microcosmic level, we ourselves are composed of 70% water. 70 is Shleimus. David HaMelech lives a life of Shleimus. He lives 70 years. Shivim L'Seva, Svia, Mishnah Novus, Parkei Mishnah Chaf Aleph. That's 70. 70 is a full lifetime. That's what David HaMelech has. David's name is David 14. 7 doubled over. He's the king of sevens, the king of Shleimus. He marries 18 wives. Number 7, writes the Chidon Helam Dover Nosya Zion, was Batsheva. What type of name is that? She's the daughter of 7. She's the daughter to bring him to Shleimus. Together with Batsheva, the daughter of 7, they'll have Shlomo, Osios HaSholem. They'll bring Shleimus into the world. That's the number 7. David HaMelech was the king of sevens. He's the 7th guest that visits us on the Yeshpizin on the 7 days of Sukkot. Keneged the Zion Midas in the Esthers Story. We have Bechinas HaMalchus. That is David HaMelech. He is number 7. That's Shleimus in the Olam HaTeva. And that is the number 7. That's why Shiva is Svia. Achalta v'savalta. You had all the meals here with the Gewaldika catering and a project inspire Shabbos. By Motzei Shabbos ready, Malava Malka, oh, the Fum Tzara Agra, because you're already satiated. So, Chalta v'savalta, you eat a lot and you're satisfied. What happens if you eat a little too much over Shabbos? You get shamein, you get obese. What's shamein? Shemena, Osio Shmona, that's 8. That's beyond the belt. That's 8, Lamalam and Atzeva. When you go beyond satiation, you're going beyond the belt. Your neshamas, your chelek aloka mimal, neshama, Osios Shmona. Shmona writes the Maral in their mitzvah. 8 days of Chanukah, it was all about Nisim, Lamaylam, it's all revolving around Shemen. Shemen is Safek Abimayim. Mayim represents this staple, the basic essential of our universe. 70% of the world is water, the 7 skies, the 7 seas. That's the number 7. What happens when you try to mix oil with water? The Shemen is Safek Abimayim. It floats above because that's Shmoneh. That's 8. Lamalam and Atzeva. 8 days of Hanukkah, the protagonists on the Hanukkah stage, of course, Ches Shmonaim, Ches times Shmona. They were the heroes of the Hanukkah story, Ches times Shmona, all about Shem and Safa Gabemayim. That's the number 8. So what is Chen? There's nothing in English that can properly describe what Chen is. What's Chen? Chen is the juxtaposition of the Os Ches with the Os Nun. What's the Os Ches? 8. That's in the single digits. 8 is Lamalam and Atzeva. What happens when you have 7 times 7? 7 times 7 is 49. That's Shleimus. A chazak of Shleimus, by the way, is 7 times 7 times 7, which is 343. All of our Gashmius in Olam Hasa comes from where? The Geshem. That's why it's called Gashmiut. Gashmiut is Neveah from the Geshem. What's Geshem? Gimel Shin Mem. Gematria 343. How do you get to 343? A chazak of Shleimus. 7 times 7 times 7. 49 times 7 is 343. Gematria Geshem. That's the world. The world within which we live. Gashmius is Neveah from Geshem. That's 343. 7 times 7 is 49. Shavuos is on day 50, which is the beginning of the 8th week. Lamalam and Atzeva, that's Lamalam and Azman. That's why it has no date. How do you write infinity, by the way, in mathematics, in the world of logic and mathematics? How do you write infinity? It's a figure 8, because it's infinity. It's Lamalam and Azman. It's a figure 8, which is, by the way, parenthetically, the only integer from 1 to 9. That's continuous. Every other integer has a clearly defined starting point and ending point. 8 is continuous. That's infinity. That's Lamalam and Azman. That's a figure 8. 8, Shmona, Shmena. That's Lamalam and Atzeva. Ches, that is Lamalam and Atzeva in the single digits. What happens if it's 7 times 7? That's 49. The Nun, 50. That's Yovel. Yovel is everyone goes free. No restrictions. You're not bound by anything. That's Yovel. Everyone goes free. That's Cheres. That's Yom Chamishim. That's Matan Torah. That's the Nun. You know what Chen is? Chen is Kulul, the Malam and Atzeva. The real beauty is the beauty of the Chen, which is something that's indescribable. You can't put your hands in it. It doesn't make sense. You can't describe it. It's grace. It's charm. It's an otherworldly beauty. It's a beauty that Be'etzim is the Lamalam and Atzeva. It's the juxtaposition of the Ches and the Nun. Ches, Lamalam and Atzeva in the single digits, and Nun in the weeks, in the days, and then in the weeks you have 8 is the beginning of the 8th week. That's the Bechinas on Nun, and that's the 50, and that's the Bechina of the Chen. Every column, therefore, is Chut Shaches and Moshe Chaleh. She's the Kol HaPachas No Seis Chen Be'enei Ba'aleh. So, we have now to go back to the first woman in the Torah described as being beautiful, and that, of course, is Sarah. For this, we go back, turning the pages to Parshas Lech Lecha, Perek Yud Beis Pasuk Yud Aleph. Now, keep in mind, Sarah Imenu, before she even meets Avram, she is called Yiska at the close of Parshas Noach. Why is she called Yiska? Rashi says, Losha Nisichut, aristocracy, nobility. She was very dignified. But the Gemara takes us in Megillah Yadala and Aleph to 2 different interpretations. Zok the Gemara, Yiska is Sochsa Baruch HaKodesh. She saw into the future, Shema Makola, greater in Nevuah than her husband, Avram, even though the Netziv writes in Hamagdash she wasn't greater in Nevuah, she was greater in Ruach HaKodesh. Sochsa b'Ruach HaKodesh, that's the Lashon of the Gemara. And number 2 is Hakol Sochem Yafia. Everybody gazed at her beauty. And that was Yisco. That's how we're introduced to Sarah. Back to Megillah Tesvav Amud Aleph. Who heads the list of Arba Noshim Yafios Hayiba Olam? Sarah, Rochav, Abigail, and Esther. Sarah heads the list. Ask Taisus the obvious question. What do you mean? The Gemara says in Bava Basra and Chesem and Aleph that Sarah b'fnei Chavish kekok b'fnei Adam, to match up Sarah to Chava, who was created by Hashem Yisparach Kaviyocha B'chvona V'atzmo. You want to talk about the Yitzir Kapayim of the Eibishter, that's Adam and Chava. Matching up Sarah, the most beautiful woman that ever lived, to Chava is like comparing a monkey to a human being. Can you imagine the discrepancy, the disparity between a Chava? So why is Chava not on the list? Taisus, we're talking about the Hubi Yolod Isha Kamer. We're talking about people who are born to mortal flesh and blood, but Avada, it goes without saying, it's axiomatic that the Bria, the Yitzir Kap of the one that Hashem Yisparach fashion b'chod v'atzmo, Avana she's in the sug b'fnei atzmo. But I call upon him, Sarah heads the list. So let's go back to Lech Lecha Perek Beis Pasuk Ged Aleph. Avram Avinu says, Hinei na yadatik ishi yifas v'rat. I see that you're beautiful. Right? So the sister Chava based on the Machshava, what's going on here? What do you mean now I see that you're beautiful? Didn't we quote before the Gemara Kedushim and Aleph that also the Kaddish Isha Shirana? You have to see her. Ella what? Explains Marsha, well, Valdi he saw her, but now she's already years later, because of the tznius that was in the house, now she's older and she hasn't really paid attention since that day of the wedding. Now hinei adati, or he saw her reflection now in the water, he saw her in a different light, or he saw her going down to Mitzrayim, he now observed her differently, different terutzim. Another Rabbi Yehuda has a fascinating tshuva as well, and Shashus and Rabbi Yehuda and Orachaim about the shvach of Avram Avinu that he was holding by this madriga, that he didn't fully grasp the beauty of Sarah until they're on the way down to Mitzrayim. So what's the Torah doing? Sarah is beautiful. Rivka is described as an Ara Tovas Mara. Chav Tes Yud Zayin and Vayetze Rachel Haise Fastor Fasmara. What's going on here? This is what we're interested in. Asks the Vilna Gaon Likutim in the back of Kolayo and Divriliyo. Don't we say every Friday night in the end of Esthers Chayo, Perk Lamed Aleph Pasuk Lamed and Mishlei, Sheker Chein Hevel Yofi Shayasa Shemida Salah. She know what to make it Chein, but in the end of the day, doesn't Shlomo Melech tell us Sheker Achein? Hevel Yofi. What should a woman be praised for? Isha Yiras Hashem Yitzalal. And that's why in yeshivas, in some yeshivas, nobody would ever have the audacity to ask a roommate, oh, tell me, was the girl you just dated, was she a fine-looking girl? What would they say? No, tell me, Yaakov, how was the sheker in the Hevel? How's the sheker? Right? If somebody calls a shadchan, no one has to say, you can ask the shadchan, oh, how's the sheker in the Hevel? Sheker chen Hevel Yafi. So what's going on? Ask the girl, why is the Torah going out? Svasema says to Kasha, the Gemara Megillah says, Vavam and Aleph. I need to know a Messiah, the foremost beautiful woman that ever lived in my nafkamina. Frank the Svasema, who cares? What do we need to know it for? Again, using that same Kasha, the Vilna Gaon. Machbatlanu, why in the world are we interested? What do we need to know? That the Torah goes out of its way on its sacred hallowed pages and is made and testifies. Look how beautiful Sarah, Rivka, the Emos were. What's going on here? Writes the Vilna Gaon, a very important yesod. Vilna Gaon tells us that we're misreading the pasuk. Shlomo Melech, the Chacham Kolonim, his intent at the end of Mishlei Perek Lamed Aleph Pasuk Lamed is Sheker Chen Hela Yofi, when they're viewed and taken independently. But Isha Yiras Hashem, if a woman possesses Yiras Shamayim, he Tesalo, she should be praised and extolled not just for the Yiras Shamayim Shabbat, then she can be praised even for the Hevel and even for the Yofi, because then you know that she's using it for the right reasons. By themselves, Sheker Chen Hela Yofi in a Chanami. But if a woman possesses a Gavaldig Madrig of Yiras Shamayim, he Tesalo, then she can be praised and she should be praised, right? It's the Gra, even for the Chen and even for the Yofi. Why? Because she's being tested with it, and what? And she's using it for the right reasons. Yuma Daf Lamed Hey Amud Beis. Yosef HaTzadik is Machayev, all those people who who say, oh, Yetzahara, oh, and they're too good-looking, Machulei. Yosef is Machayev them. So even though Rab Baron asks in his Sefer Mesam Chalev and some Memdalit, in his Chelech Chedusha, God it says, Rab Baron asked the Kasha, I understand the gross Mahalech by woman. Isha Yerashemi Desala, but what about Yosef HaTzadik? We see that Yosef is also Yefei Torah Yefei Mare. Ella what? But again, it's the same type of thing, that if you're driven by Yiras Shamayim, then and only then, even mitzad the male gender, you can be praised for the Yosef, because you're using it correctly, and that's Hagon, Rabbi Yosef Lebloch, and Shirei Nasi has a whole mimer, Tamim Tihim, Shemakech Lepasuk, and Shaftim. The ikar is you're walking betmimus, you're always walking and doing the right things, and if you have any sign that you're giving the beauty and you only use it at the right time and the right place, the Shem Shamayim, and driven always the thrust is always one of Yir Shamayim, then Taka Inachanami, the woman can be praised even for the Chen and even for the Yofi. So while we're on the topic of Sarah, let's go to the famous Rashi. We turn to the Rashi at the beginning of the name of the Parsha for Sarah, Chai Sarah, the lives of Sarah Imenu, and we find that she passes away, her untimely demise in the heels of Akedah Sitzchak, hearing about the news, 127 years of age. So what does Rashi do? He cites for us the Medrash and Bereshis Rabbah, Parsha and Chesenos Aleph. And what does Rashi say? At 100 years old, she was like 20. After all, 20-year-old woman is beautiful, right? She's like 20 in beauty, and like 7 in sin, right? Because 7 in sin, she's not even at the age of Bas Mitzvah. Isn't that Geshmak? What a Geshmak of Rashi? But yet what? I'm sorry, but I just pulled the wool over your eyes. That's not what Rashi says. Rashi doesn't say that. Rashi says at 100, she was like 20 in sin, and she's like 7 in beauty. What's going on here? Ad Kedei Kach, that the Aderes Machon Yishalayim published a few years ago. The Perush Al HaTorah, we only have it now in Bereshis and Shmois of Rav Elio, David Rabinowitz Tumim, the father-in-law Rav Kook. And the Aderes says it's a tos in Rashi, and you have to go and be Mahapich at 100. After all, who's more beautiful, a 20-year-old woman or a 7-year-old girl? 20-year-old woman, somebody have to switch the gears up. At 20 years old, I know you're not called a Bas Onshin, you're not subject to Misud Ishmaim, Shabbos, Peitzah, Seven Beis, until you get to the age of 20. The brain, in fact, the morale says, is still developing. The neurocortical plasticity is still working and developing until you get to the age of 20. Only then are you subject to Misud Ishmaim. But 7 is not even the age of Bas Mitzvah. But still, we must go ahead and switch the terminology and say she was like 20 in beauty and like 7 in sin. In fact, the Perush Marzu on the Medrash and Bereshis Rabbah Nun Chas Aleph, he brings a Yalkut with the Yalkut Shimoni in on Tehillim and Kapitel Lamed Zayin, actually has a different girsa and says Taka at 100, she was like 20 in beauty and 7 in sin. However, that's not the nusach that we have. So how in the world are we going to make Masra? Unzer nusach, the nusach that we have in Rashi. What's going on? Writes the Chizkuni and writes a Moshe Feinstein and Drash Moshe, very gishmak. You know what? It's the Chet Nikuda Mitzan, the sin of Ada would have been better. Certainly, it would have been preferred to highlight that she was like 7 in sin, not even at the age of Bas Mitzvah. The Rosh and Chuvas, Klant Zayin, and Os Aleph, Halacha Moshe Sinai, ages of 13 and 12 respectively. Needed Daf Memhayim at base. It would have been better to say that she was like 7 in sin, but we wanted to bring out that her beauty was such that no matter what age she was, she always viewed her beauty like the pure, innocent 7-year-old girl who goes into her mother's closet, puts on her mother's high heels, throws on her mother's sheitel. She's not interested in impressing anyone. It's a pure, unadulterated, sincere type of beauty, innocent type of beauty. That's the mile of the beauty of a 7-year-old girl versus a 20-year-old young woman. Writes the Chizkuni, that was the Tmimus, right? So Moshe, and writes Ramoto Katz that tells Rosh Hashiva Bar Machaike, the mile was everything Sarah Imenu did was driven Tamim Tiyam Hashem Lakecha, was betmimus. No matter what God gives, she would bestowed upon her. She used everything solely kulu l'shem shamayim, and that's the shvach. That even her beauty she viewed, it's just a gift, like a 7-year-old girl who just takes whatever Hashem threw her way, and that's how she viewed it. She never did it to impress anyone. It was always ayeh sarish tachinei ba'oel, always tznius. That's Tehillim Kapitel Memhei Pasuk Gedalid Kol Kvuda B'Asmelch Panima. That was the madrega miyuchedes of the tznius of Sarah Imenu, who headed the list of the foremost beautiful women that ever lived, who is called Yiska. For reason number 2, the Gemara Megillah Yudala Nanov Shakol Sochem Yofya, but she covered it over. She hid it. She had the Yira Shamayim, always driven like a 7-year-old girl, always betmimas, always l'shem Shamayim. And that's why the Rosh writes in Orchas Chaim LaHarosh, one of the Gedolei Rishonim and Os Tzadi Ches of his Orchas Chaim, he says, Al teshabeach isha b'yofya, b'tuv ma'aseh yashru hashomim. Don't praise a woman for beauty. Praise her for tuv ma'aseh. Praise her for her actions. Her actions. That's what you have to praise. John Lloyd and John Mitchell in their famous book of quotations. If ignorance is bliss, why aren't there more happy people? They bring from Leo Tolstoy. He says, isn't it amazing that there's no complete delusion as beauty is associated with goodness? That's not true. Beauty is not associated with goodness. The outer beauty, it's only if you're filled with good, then you could go ahead and make sure that even the beauty is used l'shem shamayim. That's Tomim Tiyam Hashem Lokecha. That was the dark of Sarah. No matter what God gives were given to her, were bestowed upon her. She viewed it all as a matana meisa kadosh baruch hu, and she used them all solely to Shem Shemayim and treated them like a 7-year-old girl. And that was the Maila of Suri Meinu. That's really the Bechina of the Chain. And was all that Chain, it's the Chain of using even the actual beauty that you're given, merely Kulu the Shem Shemayim. So why in the world? Yes, it brings out the new Madrega in the Darga of the Ovos and the Imos. But why is it necessary that they had to be handsome, that they had to be beautiful, the Yaakov had to be so strong, the shepherds couldn't remove the rock off the well, Yaakov goes ahead and just flicks it off? What's the pshat? Writes to Marami Prague, and it's discussed very briefly in the Sefer Kisvei Marami Prague in the Miluim Techelik Beis, page 336, a collection of various Marals, where Rav Korman cites that the Yesod of the Maral is the Avos and the Mos were the Sharshei Ha'am. They were the roots, they were the Sharashim of Klal Yisrael. When you're building a tree, the Ikar is what? Is the Shirish, the roots, the foundation. The roots have to be mighty, powerful, and strong. The seeds, they have to be Geshmak, because from them is going to sprout, is going to burgeon all the trunk and then the ensuing branches and the Peiros. Since they were the Sharashim, they were the roots, the starting point of Klal Yisrael, right? The Maral, they had to be Sholem, Sai Baruchni, Sai Begashmius. Mitzad the Ruchni, Mitzad the Gashmi, physically and spiritually, they had to be Sholem. That's why the Torah goes out of its way to say that Yaakov came back Sholem after V'yiga B'kaf Yerechim, Pashas V'yishlach. He still returned Sholem, Sholem B'tarasa, Sholem B'mamono, Sholem B'gufo. Why Sholem B'gufo? Again, it has to be Shlemus in their goof. And that's what the Maral says. They were beauty because they're the foundation. And the foundation has to be one of Kulo Shleimus, and that Shleimus hein ba'olam aruchni and hein ba'olam agashmi. That's the Maral's Mahalach. But again, we see that what? The Ikka beauty is, of course, the Pneumistic beauty. It's what's going on inside. Anyone who read back in AP English, really in high school reading already, the Saint Exupéry's A Little Prince, pages 92 and 93, when he was describing what's the beauty of a desert, the beauty of a desert is that somewhere beneath it hides a well. And the beauty is not what you see. There's more than meets the eye. There's a beauty beneath the surface, and that's the Pneumistic beauty, and that's the B'chinas HaChaim. And that, of course, is the Yikr. That's what we have to highlight. If she has Yir Shamayim, then we know she's using the beauty solely for good reasons. So now we get into halachic shaylas. What about cosmetic plastic surgery? Are females allowed to go under the knife? Are males allowed to get plastic cosmetic surgery? A nose job, anything, plastic cosmetic surgery. Are you allowed to change your appearance? Are you allowed to do it? Now, if it would be a sakana, that would be a separate problem. That would take us to Parshas V'eschon and Perek Dalet Posuk Tes. And Perek Dalet Posuk Tes, Vav Raki Shemel Chanav Shchosh V'Nav Shchemot. And Neshmat Olam L'Nav Sheseichem Rav Shimon Schwab writes on page 400 of Mayim Beishvev in the Chelek Limuk and Parshas V'eschon. That's the only time we encounter the word Ma'od. You have to really guard yourself. And that's going to be regarding your health and regarding your neshama. So we understand if it wouldn't be Ma'asim B'Choyom that these surgeries would be successful, if they would put you in a precarious situation, based on those psukim alone, it would be its own shayla. But let's assume Ma'asim that the procedure you want to do is something that's safe, is something that the doctors basically concur, is something that don't present any atypical risks. Halacha l'maisa, can you get a nose job? Halacha l'maisa, can you undergo any sense of cosmetic and plastic surgery, which nowadays is in excess of a $160 billion industry. Plastic cosmetic surgery. So you're allowed to go in and do it. Interesting machlokas haposkim. Let's start with the tzad shela iser. Let's start with Rabbi Eliezer Waldenberg, the Shalosh HaTshuvas Tzitz Eliezer Chelek Yud Aleph and Simon Beis. Writes that Tzitz Eliezer, based on Ramban and Torah Sodom, himself based on the Gemara and Tainis Daf Chafam and Beis. The Gemara says, that Tana came along and he said, such a person is ugly. He says, you're telling me that I'm ugly? What are you coming to me for? Go to the Uman, go to the master who fashioned me. Meaning what? The rights of Ramban, you're not supposed to change your appearance. If Hashem made you this way, you're supposed to accept it. That's a chelek of your avodas achayim. It's an isayin. This is what you were given. Don't try and change your appearance. And this is the psak by the Shalosh HaTshuvas Shari Tzedek and Yeridei Simu Kuf Mem Dalet as well. Like the Tzitz Eliezer and Yud Aleph Mem Beis, that it's also why, because the Gemara in Bava Kama Tzadi Aleph on the Beis, also la'odim l'chavel l'satzmo. You're not allowed to cause any damage. And the Balei Yitzayis say afilu l'tzorech. You're not allowed to cut into yourself, even if there's a reason for doing so. And since you're not allowed to cut into yourself, what's the heter? To change your appearance? Who says you're allowed to change your appearance? If this is the way Eivishter made you, you should accept it. This is an isoin. This is a chelek of your avodas Hashem, and therefore it sits Eliezer and the Shari Tzedek Aser. That is not the predominant opinion, especially for those who are sitting now shaking. Why didn't you tell me this years ago, Rabbi? And at the end of the day, I tell you, you wait until people. I remember when I was learning in yeshiva there so many years ago, we had a mashkiach. He never went into the kitchen. He only went into the kitchen to say that something was treif. We always had somebody on the lookout. If the mashkiach is coming, everyone finish up the chicken very quickly. Eat the soup very quickly. Otherwise, that's it. So over here, Tzitz Eliezer, anyway, he asks us, that's the Shari Tzedek, Tzitz Eliezer, that's not the predominant opinion. The predominant opinion is Rabbi Yaakov Breish in Shal Shuas Chalkis Yaakov Chelik Gimel Siman Yad Aleph, and we'll talk about in a second the slight nuance between him and the Reb Brown and Sherman Tzana Halacha on the Sugyas in Shas, as well as the Minchas Yitzchak, Dayan Weiss and Shuvas Minchas Yitzchak in Chelik Vav and Siman Kafei. They all paskin that it's mutter when what? When there's tsar, when there's busha. Meaning what? Taisa says the Mamakamat Tzadi Aleph Amud Beis Afilu the Tzarach. That's a tzarach parnasa. But if it's tzarach refuah, what do you mean refuah? Because if a person has busha, we see already from Taisus in Shabbos, Daf Nun, Amud Aleph, and elsewhere, that tsar busha is a bechin of tsar, and therefore you're a gather of a chayla. If a person's embarrassed by their nose, if a person's embarrassed by a disfigurement on their body, since you're doing the surgery merely to be masalik, to remove that tsar, to remove that busha, you have a din of a chayla, and therefore it's going to be mutter in such a case. Rabbi Breish says, really it has to be coupled with a tzarach. The hainuk, suvas davna tesa v'beis inisha l'yayfi, and for the purpose of shidduchim, for example, right? So Breish, if a person, a woman wants to enhance her appearance for the purpose of shidduchim, then when it's a tzarach avada, then she can be masalik, she can remove that tsar, that busha. But the Sherman Tzana Halacha and the Minchas Yitzchak aren't even talking about the tzarach shidduch. And the stamazai, if you're embarrassed, you don't like the way you look, and it causes you mental anguish, it causes you emotional pain and suffering, you're allowed to do the surgery in order to remove that pain, to remove that suffering. That's a gather within of a chayla. In such a case, it's going to be mutter. So even from them, it's mashma. Not stamazai to enhance your beauty, meaning if you're fine and you're content with your current appearance, stam to go under the scalpel, to go under the knife, to intensify, to enhance the appearance, they're not going to be mutter. It's only mutter now to be masalik, to remove from yourself the tsar or the busha, the agmas nefesh. However, Moshe Feinstein, one of the Gedolei Ador, of course, the posek Ador, according to Rabban Kolder in the last generation, famous tshuva Moshe Feinstein in Shal Shuas Moshe and Chosh Mishpat Chelik Beis and Siman Samach Vav. We don't have time now, but in Siman Tzachei even talks about diet pills and diets that might be mutter, that might be usher. Siman Samach Vav, can you do plastic cosmetic surgery? Right, so Moshe, since we know Allah Chalamaisa Inisha L'Yofi the Going Suas Test, and the Rambam writes in the beginning of Parakei V'Elchos Chov L'Masik that the only time it's usher is when it's a derech bizayin. When it's done derech bizayin, you're not let it hit somebody else. But when it's being done and it's ma'asim achoyom and then there's no sakana, and you want to improve your appearance, when Taisa says afilu the tzarach, that's the tzarach parnosa. But the tzarach, a woman enhancing your beauty, so to Moshe, to be mounted for a man, that's not poshet. If a man has a disfigurement chalila and he wants to remove that tzar of the busha, then avada will be mutter for the man. That'll be a different story. But a man to stam improve his appearance, that Moshe is not no to lahak, but he's no to lahakil for a woman, but front for the Indian of shidduchim, even if she's content and she's not being masalik the busha, but she wants to look better for the purpose of shidduchim, right? So Moshe, she can get the nose job, she can undergo cosmetic plastic surgery, and Moshe is the most makel of the aforementioned shitas, but that's how he paskins. And Egas Moshe Chosh Mishpat Chelik Beis and Siman Samach Vav. That's plastic cosmetic surgery in a nutshell. We see big machoksa poskim. Again, Bekitzer Nimrods, to summarize Besikum, and we have the Tzitz Eliezer based on the Ramban and Torah Adam and the Avnei Tzedek Kuf Memdal and Yerodeo. They aser Minchas Yitzchak, Chalkis Yaakov, and Gimel Yod Aleph, and Chelik Vav Siman Kafei, and Minchas Yitzchak and Sharm Tzimmer Zlocha. They're mounted to be masalik the bush, and Moshe Chosh Mishpat Chelik Beis and Samach Vav is mounted to repashtus the Gamri, especially by Anisha. That's cosmetic surgery. Now let's turn on to shilas that pertain very often to men. We know that a woman is allowed to go in and dye her hair to look younger for aesthetic reasons. But what about a man who wants to go ahead and dye his hair? Lo yilbash. We have a pasuk asering percha basic. You say lo yilbash gever simlasisha lo yakli gever alisha. Person's not allowed to go ahead and do things that are common to the feminine gender. Writes the Torah Shulchan Aruch and Yerodei Simukupei Beis Sivav. A man, based on the sugya, we're not going to go into the sugyas right now, you'll have to trust me, but you're not allowed to go in and pluck out one gray hair, one white hair. The issue is not even on two, even one. You're not allowed to pluck out a gray hair or white hair. The question is, what if somebody is embarrassed? What if somebody has patches and it looks crazy? All right? The Srida Eish, that if it's done for embarrassment, Rabbi Yechio Yaakov Omer has a true in Srida Eish and Chelik Beis, Srida Eish and Mem Aleph, that if it's to remove busha, to remove tsar, based on the Taz and the Beis Yosef, that it's only also when it's done l'noyel l'kisha b'yalma, for aesthetic reasons. But if you have patches of gray, even though the poskim say easiest way out is just dye your hair gray, I'll just dye it all white. What are you worried about? The idea is you're not allowed to do like women to look young, but if you don't like the way it looks because it's all patchy, just dye your hair gray and look distinguished, dye it all white. All right, so the Mordechai writes in Minchas Elazar, it could be that it would be mutter l'tzorch parnasa. Again, if you're not doing it for aesthetic reasons, but in general, we're really only a makel, that if a person prematurely grays, then it's a different shaila. If a person's 30 years old, but because of the premature graying, it looks like he's 50 years old, then you could dye your hair, according to some poskim, to look 30. But you can't dye your hair now to look 20. You can't dye your hair to look younger. If it's only to look your age, when it's l'tzorch parnasa, then there are various sirufim. You have to ask your local Orthodox rabbi if and when it becomes nogeah. Minchas Elazar, Mordechai, Minchas Elazar, Mukach Rebbe talks about in Chelik Dalet, Chuvas and Simchav Gimel of the Minchas Elazar, fascinating Chuvas, when and where you'd be allowed to dye your hair. What's really interesting though is not only the question of dyeing and not only plucking out the hairs, plucking out gray hairs. What about a man looking in a mirror? The Machshava brings down, and Simon Kuvei Beis in Yordei Sevav, a man is not a low look in a mirror. You can't look in a mirror. In fact, the Chazon Ish, Motzei, he once went to visit a Gevir in Tel Aviv, and right when he walked in, this Gevir had mirrors adorning his front entranceway. And the Chazon Ish had never seen his own reflection. Chazon Ish walked into the house with his gabbai, and he saw a choshva looking tzaddik Talmid Chacham. And the Gemara in the 9th Perek of Brachos, when you see a Talmid Chacham, you recite the bracha, Baruch Shecholak Emechachos L'Rayam. And he's with the gabbai, and he sees this choshva looking Talmid Chacham. And he starts Baruch Atu. He says, Rabbi Chazon Ish, what are you doing? He says, I see you, Talmid Chacham. He says, Chazon Ish, that's you. That's you. He never knew what a mirror was. So Baruch Hashem, what was in a bracha? L'Atalai, Nakirshach, maybe it's a Kala Yedei, Memter Shitzidik, Matzidka, Kama Chul, and Dafayim and Beis, Git and Navzayin and Aleph, holding like the Ramban and the Rif, and not like the Reef, and Rabbi Natan by Toy says, Davka by Midi Dachila. Either way, you see the Chazon Ish was saved. Writes the Aderes. Let's go to the Aderes and his Kunchas Nefesh David at number 47. Aderes says, Miyom Di Altaiti. I never allowed the people in my household to put up a mirror. I never wanted to see my own reflection, and he never had a mirror up in his house. But Allah Chalamaisa, you're allowed to have a mirror, yes, right? So Vaji Yosefi has a lengthy tshuva in Chelik Vav of Yechava Das. He says, Avad, it's only a minute tov, it's not Halacha L'Maisa. I remember years ago when you saw a Pesach Krom was speaking on Friday night, he says, another thing I like about Nei Yisrael is they have mirrors in the bathrooms. Why do I like that they have mirrors in the bathroom? He says, a Bachar has pizza for lunch, and especially the Bachrim and the younger light that have beards. What happens? The cream cheese, they're eating bagels, it gets stuck in the beard. I remember when the gray hairs from the rabbinate first started coming, my mother, oh Baruch Hashem, she should be well, she's right here, she said, Eytan, I think you had too much cream cheese at the bris this morning. So now it's not cream cheese, it's called Rabbanis. It's called Rabbanis. That's the idea is, so you have to, if a Pesach, it's a mila, after you finish eating, you got to make sure that you don't have the crumbs in the beard. So it's a milas, it's only Eitz Taiva, it's a minach chachamim. But Avad Raja Yosef says that Allah Lamaisa, not stam to go ahead and adorn yourself, but to make sure that your appearance is beseder, you're allowed to go in and look in the mirror. Diet and diet pills and diet surgeries, that's a whole separate shayla. We'll be here for another hour. Avadakoponim, that's cosmetic plastic surgery in a nutshell, 3 different shitas regarding looking younger and dyeing one's hair. Ask a local Orthodox rabbi if there's tzar, if there's bush involved, if it's parnas related. Looking in the mirror, we talked about many other related shaylas. So the ikar is again is the chain. It's not the external beauty of it; it's the internal beauty. And even someone who is blessed with the external beauty, it's all what if you have your shemaim, then everything is driven solely. It's a God-given gift used to test you. Are you going to use it at the right time, in the right place, in the right measure? Like everything in the Olam Agashmi, it's all about Zman Hanochan v'Haroi. To siyata d'shmaya, and Hashem to give nachasuch to the Boreal, to use God-given gifts solely for the right reasons. L'shem Shemayim, we should be Marakot Shemayim. Have an amazing rest of the night tonight. A good tavach and a gezin tavach and a mazel tavach.